We've been on this for 2 years. Look at the data. Move Odell. He's brittle. He'll get hurt again. Move him. They didn't. Now they're stuck because he's missed 25 games over the past 4 years. Why would you want him? Who wants a brittle, expensive wide receiver when college football, once again this year, is going to hand the NFL 25 to 28 receivers in the draft? They'll also be several undrafted wide receivers that'll make NFL teams. And receivers out of college are starring earlier in the NFL. They're making first and second year impacts. But this is the reality with Cleveland, which has always struggled with low sports self-esteem. They care deeply about what you think of them and what the media thinks of them. If I do any Cleveland rant, it always gets huge hits. Why? Because they care. I can rip successful sports teams. Nobody cares. Inner scoreboard, outer scoreboard. A lot of guys say they're confident. Outer scoreboard, they're very insecure. Inner scoreboard people don't have to tell you how great they are. Brown fans are paralyzed by what people think. So they didn't want to move off Odell Beckham because they wanted to prove to everybody stars can work in Cleveland. We can bring stars. They can work because everybody said he's not going to work there. He's a London guy. He's a Paris guy. He's a New York guy. He's a Hollywood guy. He's got houses in New York and Hollywood. He don't want to be in Cleveland, and he didn't. But Cleveland was paralyzed by it. We're going to prove that Odell Beckham can work in Cleveland. Now he's brittle and expensive, and you're not going to get much for him. You'll get something for him, but you could have gotten so much more. And the signs were obvious. Like last year, it's no longer disputable. Of the 9 receivers, the 9 top receivers Baker Mayfield targeted last year, Odell Beckham was last in passer rating and completion percentage from Baker. That means Baker's completion percentage was lower throwing to Odell than any other player, and his passer rating was lower than throwing to any other player. It's not even disputable now. He forces the ball to Odell Beckham. But this is why it's really important in the NFL to not worry about what other people think of you. This is something we've been banging on for 2 years. Odell wasn't a great fit. Baker was forcing the ball to him. A little bit like Dak and Dez. Remember the Cowboys moved off him. Dak felt like he had to get the ball to Dez, and Dak's numbers were fine without Dez once he got Amari Cooper. So the story today, the Browns will have to move Odell. I don't think they'll get nearly the haul they would have 2 years ago. If you remember, back in, it was 2019 actually, I think he played 15 or 16 games, had 1,000 yards. That was the time to move him. But they wanted to prove stars work in Cleveland. We're going to prove. Don't worry about what people think. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. History of injuries. That was the day you moved him. Look at the data. Move him. You could have gotten a first-round pick for him. You'd be out of your mind to give a first-round pickup for Odell Beckham now. You'd be out of your mind. Expensive and hurt all the time. Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Well, the Broncos have been struggling to find their next franchise quarterback ever since Peyton Manning retired, but they're ready to throw their hat in the ring for Deshaun Watson. The Broncos will reportedly pursue a trade for Deshaun if the Texans make him available this offseason. The story's a little strange because the Texans have been pretty upfront about the idea that they are not trading Deshaun Watson,
right? Which
would tend to make you believe that they're waiting for someone to give them a ridiculous haul to then consider it.
Right.
So the idea that the Broncos are going to wait until the Texans make him available, it seems like you'd be a little late in the game if that's how you're handling it. They could offer the Texans Drew Lock, and they have the 9th pick in the draft. They could put together a pretty nice package for the Texans. Could they compete with someone like the Jets? I don't know. But it seems like if the Broncos really want Deshaun Watson, they're going to have to be aggressive as opposed to react.
I think, Joy, this is the 3rd or 4th team. We saw the Carolina story a couple days ago. There's a bidding war for Deshaun Watson. Because he came off his best season. Now, it's interesting. He's been hurt before, too. Is this the most valuable Deshaun will ever be in this moment? Not saying he wouldn't be valuable in 3 years, but one more injury to him, and he's a playmaker. He moves. One more injury, and a lot of teams will just move to another young quarterback. I could make the argument, Deshaun off his best year, he has been healthy. This is the moment if you're going to move him, this is the year. Now, you don't want to move him ideally, but Joy, Denver now, this is the third team publicly we've heard about. You got a bidding war. You could get now 4 first-round picks, a bridge quarterback, second-round picks. You know, there's the old saying, strike when the iron is hot. This is a bad relationship. This may be the moment that you can get the most ever for Deshaun, and you take a terrible situation and then make it palatable.
Well, it makes sense that the Texans are saying that they're not going to make him available, because then that's going to make teams be more aggressive and offer more to get him. So obviously, if the Texans are like, yeah, we're trading him, they lose leverage in that spot. It's similar to the situation with Odell. I agree with you. One more injury and it changes everything. I don't think that he is on the Texans roster the start of the season.
Neither do
but
I.
This is the right strategy for the Texans now.
Yeah.
So J.J. Watt has already gotten a lot of interest since his release from the Texans. His former teammate, DeAndre Hopkins, appears to be enjoying life away from Houston and is now trying to convince Watt to join him in Arizona. He posted a picture of the two of them on Instagram with the caption, "Let's finish what we started." Great graphic work, by the way, because J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins in Cardinals jerseys. So it really, I had to do a double take at first. I was like, what is happening? Their artists are amazing. Juju Smith-Schuster also made a case to the Steelers, commenting on that post, come play with your brothers, LOL. And J.J. Watt just tweeted a few minutes ago, free agency is wild. So the story and all the news surrounding J.J. Watt it's more fun, obviously, because he's a free agent and Juju can do that and DeAndre Hopkins can do that. It's not the stressful situation that's going on with Deshaun Watson. But I'm really excited to find out where he ends up.
So listen, he is older, he's been dinged up, and he's expensive. But again, there's a handful of really good teams, Baltimore, Green Bay, where, Joy, it feels like they're kind of a pass rusher away from, like, taking another step. And I go back to something with Green Bay. All of Green Bay's rivals have been super aggressive. Green Bay has been, and not a shot, it's just the way they do business. This would be symbolic to me if Green Bay went out and overspent a little. It feels like it's a moment in time. It's the crowded bar theory. Let's create a little juice inside the Packer organization. Just a little juice now. Let's, for the first time in your life, dip into our 401k and get a little uncomfortable, overspend for vacation. It feels like a moment. Don't do that a lot. Doesn't change your culture in Green Bay. I mean, you can be somebody that's really smart with your money and overspend on a vacation. It's okay to do that. And I think Green Bay, this is the moment in time to go for it.
We talk about it all the time, that aggressive wins in sports. You're seeing that happen. Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year are the best example of that. They were not in the playoffs last year, and they just won the Super Bowl. Obviously, Tom Brady being the biggest factor there, but they've made a lot of other aggressive moves, and all of those moves contributed, not only throughout the regular season, but especially in the Super Bowl. So I totally agree with you, Green Bay is the move, but they shouldn't do.
Yep.
So the Nets were without Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving last night, and it looked like they were headed towards a blowout loss to the Suns. They were down 75-54 at halftime and trailed by as many as 24 points in the game. But James Harden scored 38, including a huge three-pointer to secure the lead with 30 seconds remaining. Brooklyn was also able to slow down the Suns' offense, holding them to just 49 second half.
Yep.
124 win. I thought this was a very significant game for the Nets. Being without KD and Kyrie, it was looking bleak. They kicked up the defense in the second half, and everyone contributed. Joe Harris at 22 points, 4 rebounds. Jeff Green at 18 points, 8 rebounds. And the Suns are the hottest team in the league right now. Like, they've been playing unbelievable basketball. Chris Paul at 29 points, Devin Booker at 22 points. This wasn't like they're blowing out the Suns of 3 years ago. This was a really good win for the Nets.
Yeah. I think I didn't watch it. Devin Booker apparently struggled a little bit down the stretch, and that opened the door for the Nets and James Harden to pull it out.